That movie sucked.
I kind of liked it.
Movie Night Crew Network.
Hello and welcome to Content and Capable, where I try to figure out what it really means to adult. Today I spoke to Dan and Jovana all about their minimalist lifestyle and what it practically looks like to live as a minimalist. Welcome to Content and Capable, Dan and Jovana. Is that how you pronounce your name? Jovana. Cool. Thank you so much for being on. I'm really excited to chat to you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're super excited to be on here.
We're here to talk all about minimalism and your minimalistic lifestyle. So, for someone who might not know what minimalism is, do you want to just give a quick rundown on what minimalism is?
Yeah, I guess I'll take the reins on this one. So minimalism is pretty much living an intentional life with less. I'm sorry if you get a weird noise in the background. My cat's currently throwing up. So embarrassing.
Start it over again.
Okay.
Sorry, over. Sam. Our cat is vomiting in the corner right now.
Oh my gosh.
All right, start that over again.
Wait, she's still throwing up.
Oh, terrible timing.
Okay. Rewind. So, minimalism is pretty much living an intentional life with less. So, that's pretty much a quick definition. So you don't really focus on the materialistic aspect, of your items. You just pretty much try to focus on people and relationships more so, and experiences. And also a big part of it too is appreciating the things that you already own and actually holding those more a higher value, because it's so easzy to just pick up things at the dollar store and you don't really care about them. So it's pretty much a little short definition, minimalism, living with less, living an intentional lifestyle pretty much.
And so how did you get into minimalism?
Oh,
she started it.
Yeah, I kind of started it. So we were actually moving in together shortly after we started dating, and we had gotten engaged. And he was like, "You should move in with me, save money, so we can have our wedding." So I said, "Great, awesome." And a little bit of backstory: I'm actually from Florida originally, and I moved to Virginia at the end of my college year. Just literally on a whim. I was supposed to come here on a summer break, and I ended up staying. So I moved from Florida to Virginia in a duffel bag. Mm-hmm. That was everything that I had. And when I moved in with Dan,
I had a lot of stuff.
He had a lot of stuff.
I had recently moved out of my parents' house. Post-college and everything like that. So, I don't know. I was out maybe 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, he was living out of bins.
I was still living out of bins after 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
I wasn't settled. I brought way too much stuff with me. And then when she was moving in, obviously there's that coalescence of items where you just have to, be like, okay, we have this many pots. Do we really need this many?
Yeah.
And then you found the Marie Kondo book.
Yeah. Well, it pretty much all stemmed from, so after being here a year, I met you, and then I started moving in with you, and it took me 10 trips in my SUV to move everything. And I remember sitting in the middle of your house and thinking holy crap, there are so many things around me. I was completely overwhelmed. And that same day we were actually inviting friends over to hang out. And I was like, there is literally piles of stuff that's just mine everywhere. And I kind of had a mini panic attack. And I remember your friend showed up first, and you were gone getting snacks and stuff for the party, and you hadn't seen the mess yet. And he came over and he was like, this is all of your stuff? And I was like, yeah. And then from there, I was like, I need to do something about this. Like, this has gotten out of control. I moved in a duffel bag from one state to another. And then in just a year, I've accrued so many items that it literally covered the entire floor of your living room. And I took over his entire walk-in closet. I was just
There was a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I had to figure out what to do. So I actually went on YouTube and I Googled like how the heck to get rid of my stuff. And I stumbled upon the Marie Kondo method, which was, I think, fairly new at that time. I think she had just come out with her first book. I think it was Sparking Joy, or I can't remember the name of the title.
Are you familiar with it, Sam?
Yeah, oh yeah, because the Netflix show, we ended up watching it. And then all the subsequent memes and stuff as well.
Yeah. So that kind of started. And at the beginning, it was like 5 or 6 years ago now. She didn't really have like a big following, I don't think. And it was just like smaller channels, like, you know, teaching you like you can live with less stuff. Like you don't actually need to own everything under the sun. Like you can get by with just exactly what you need. And that's kind of where it all began. So yeah, I just got a garbage bag and started donating everything.
Yeah, I was about to say, sorry, the children are slamming doors.
That's okay.
And it's just about to start raining as well. So they're like running up and down the driveway. It's very distracting. This is why I can't record at home, because especially when they're home, it just doesn't work. Anyway, so when you started putting things in bags and started donating, what were some of the things that you kind of struggled with like adapting to that lifestyle?
A big thing that I struggled with was my clothing, honestly, because I was really big into fashion and trying to have like the current style and
you worked at a clothing store too, which didn't help.
Yeah, I worked at a fast fashion clothing store. So every like 3 weeks, we were completely changing our store into a new style. And even when I was younger, I've always like loved fashion. I always had an interest in it. And that was the hardest part. Even now, it's still really hard for me to declutter some of my clothes because I still hold that like in my heart and like, like it's so cute. Like this will go with this, or like this is in now. And that was the hardest part, surprisingly. Like the sentimentals, just kind of chuck that shit away. I'm sorry, can I curse?
Yes, no, 100%, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
For me, the most difficult part that we still fight over is like kitchen utensils and stuff like that. Yeah, so I like to cook, and obviously you need some specialty equipment that she's like, how often are you going to use it? I'm like, not often, but when I do, I need it. Like this pie tart tin. Wait, pie tart tin.
Good job.
I need it.
That was definitely the case. Like here in my family, like my mother used to be a Tupperware. I say Tupperware dealer. It sounds like a drug dealer. But she used to be that, and so my family was quite famous for having a lot of things in our kitchen, lots of Tupperware. And there was the famous Tupperware drawer, which was just Tupperware everywhere. Like
mismatching.
That wasn't included. Yeah, and that didn't include like the stuff we'd normally use on a day-to-day basis. This was just the drawer of extra Tupperware.
Yeah.
And we started like slowly, you know, obviously, you know, things break and that. Mum would replace the important stuff and the things that we use quite often. But we started like giving away a couple of things and bits and pieces. And we got to the point where a couple of months ago, we were cleaning out the cooking trays. We keep given cooking trays, and we don't need them. And I just grabbed a box of it. I'm like, this stuff's for my kitchen. I'm taking it. And Mum, they're like, yeah, we don't care about it anymore. But it's interesting you said like over the year you had accumulated so much stuff. Like theoretically, I've been moved out for over a year now. And I've been really lucky that I haven't been able to like sit down and buy like a whole bunch of stuff. But then at the same time, I'm like, this is like this great money thing where I'm not buying a whole bunch of things, you know, so I can kind of, you know, focus on other, you know, more important things, at least to me.
Right.
You don't realize how many items you accrue.
Yeah.
I think the statistic is the average household has over 200,000 items in it.
Yeah.
Which
I think there is 200,000 items in this room here. My brother's getting ready to move out and everything's everywhere. And it's...
Yeah.
you don't really think about it.
Yeah.
But once, like, especially, I think we moved around a lot. So we moved from apartment to apartment. So, sometimes within a year's frame or less.
Yeah. Like 6 months.
That really gives you perspective when you're moving and having to pack everything.
Yeah.
It really also helps with the editing process where you're like, okay, do I really need to bring this?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah, exactly. And I realized that when I was moving, it wasn't even that I was spending the money on these items. It was like things that people were giving me. So like I had acquired this like 12 drawer dresser from my old manager. It was huge. It was gorgeous. It was gigantic. What did I need it for? I don't know, because it was just holding stuff that I could hang up in the closet. And it was like these random and it was crazy because it wasn't even like a lot of like items. It was furniture that I was actually accumulating for no apparent reason. I didn't even have my own apartment. I was living out of a bedroom with my cousin who had a whole furnished house. So I was like, why do I have a chair, a dining table when I have no place to put it? So it's really, really crazy. And like you were saying, like moving definitely puts it in perspective on how much stuff you have for sure.
100%. I think there's like two running themes of this podcast at the moment. It's moving. Like I've spoken about moving a lot recently, mainly because I've been doing it. So like, it always ends up getting to the subject. And the other one is just like, what the hell do I do with all this stuff? Obviously the episode that we just released was with Carrie, and talking about editing her collection of dolls as well. And it's that similar thing of, do I really need this one? Do I really need that one? And, I definitely think that's a running theme in terms of like editing a collection of some sort.
Definitely.
The whole Marie Kondo concept of like holding the item and thinking about, does it spark joy? It sounds super cheesy.
You weren't on board for it.
Yeah, no.
For a very long time.
My personal journey was, obviously she started it, and she would be like, okay, this bin right here, dump it in the middle of the living room. Be like, go through that. I'm like, okay, fine. And it's kind of evolved me. And she's also a very clean person, so we keep our house super tidy. I will wake up in cold sweat if there are dishes in the sink. I'm like, I forgot to do the dishes.
He blames me for that. I'm like, it's not me. It's the whole you.
Yeah, but she dragged me along into it. And at first I thought the idea of holding onto your items and seeing if they spark joy kind of felt cheesy. And I'm like, no, it makes sense, Once she explained, these items have had purpose for you. Do you like having this item around, or is it just kind of there?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it really is like, instead of holding on to everything, hold on to things that actually matter to you, things that you actually really enjoy. So like our house, we've honestly have given away pretty much all of our artwork, and the only things that we keep are things from our travels. So we have a huge painting over our couch that is a picture I actually took of an island in Haiti called Amiga Island, and it was one of the fondest vacations that we had. So we printed it out and we put it on our sofa, and then we actually bought smaller pieces from local places that we've been, that we've hung up around our house. So it's like even though we're minimalist, we don't deprive ourselves of joys of having like beautiful things in our home and like art. We love art. So we try to accumulate things that it's either from an artist that we really enjoy or from a place that we loved visiting. And it really helps having a child now. We can share those items with him when he gets older, and hopefully it'll hold more value to him to know that we've been there and we've been able to share that.
Yeah, 100%. And some of my collections are of things we've gotten while traveling. I'm really lucky. It's quite expensive to travel here in Australia, and I'm really lucky to have visited so much of Australia that I already have. And, you know, yes, it'd be great to upgrade the drone I bought in 2016, but at the same time, it holds that really sentimental value. And it's like, well, I'm not going to get rid of it because it reminds me of an amazing trip I went on.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's, I like to quote, like, because I don't know if you've heard of, like, the Minimalist, like the two, Joshua Baker, and then, what is the other one?
Joshua Fields Milburn.
That's what it is, yeah.
The other one.
The other one.
But there's a Minimalist podcast.
Anyway, so and there's actually a Netflix documentary about it, and they just released a book called Love People Use Things, and it really highlights the fact of, like, you know, enjoy your life. Like, you don't have to, like, keep up with the Joneses and have everything to impress people when it doesn't bring you full joy and appreciation. Like, why own so many things and you're going to be super unhappy because you've spent all this money on stuff and you can't go out and travel, or you can't go and visit your family, or you can't go out to dinner because you're spending money on things that are meaningless to you. So yeah, like traveling, like you said, it's definitely... Not a lot of people can afford to do that, and I think a lot of people, you know, wish that they can reach out and like be able to achieve that goal. And for us, it was hard for a very long time to travel because it is super expensive in the States to travel anywhere outside of the U.S. It's like a couple $1,000s to even travel, like, to Puerto Rico. And we were fortunate enough in our journey to pay off a bunch of our debt. I think about like $40,000 in debt we were able to pay off just in our first year of marriage, just because we've downsized so much and we really counted every penny, and we didn't spend our money on frivolous things. We didn't go out and buy a new couch or a big, like, brand new TV. You know, we have those things now, but we've saved up the money to get those items. But yeah, it's really holding like value.
Yeah, I think that is an attitude that sometimes isn't always there, and I really do appreciate, you know, that whole, you don't need it right now, we can later, or, you know, we can, you know, save up and spend time, and then it's really worth it as well because you got that, like, emotional payoff for I've earned this, I've worked really hard to get it.
Exactly. And, like, even sometimes, like, I'm a recovering shopaholic. I have to say, I still have my faults every now and then, but, you know, it's really, I've kind of, like, put myself into, like, a kind of rule. If I really want something, I'll wait, like, at least 30 days before I purchase it. And if within those 30 days, if I actually still really want it, then I'll go ahead and purchase it, because I actually thought about it for 30 days and I really, really did want it at the time. But if I didn't think about it, I didn't need it, I didn't want it. So what was the point of spending that money for that item if I actually really didn't want it in the first place? Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing. And I think when we think of minimalists, sometimes we think of these, like, really privileged people who, you know, have had the opportunity to, like, cut back on what they have. But to be perfectly honest, we keep, you know, minimalism isn't something that has to look a certain way. You know, I'm really grateful because my mother, when I was in about 9th grade, so about 15, 16, she decided I had enough with washing school uniforms every day of the week. And so she cut back our school uniforms. We had 2 of each uniform. Admittedly, I did have 6 uniforms. So I think it was like 2 of the ones we use regularly and 1 of the ones we barely ever used. And then that extended to the clothes. So I didn't have many clothes when I moved out of home. And so just replacing the clothes when I need to replace them has been, like, really great, because I've never had, like, a huge amount of clothes other than a ungodly stack of grey t-shirts, which are so thin that I just use them as rags.
I was about to say, I had like a uniform almost for a period of time. Yeah. Every Saturday I would wear the same pair of jeans and the same t-shirt. Like every single Saturday I would do that. Now it's kind of the same. Every like Sunday, I'll wear my McLaren shirt.
Yeah.
But
I feel like in owning less clothes, you appreciate your clothing more and you take care of it a lot more too, because like you're going to keep things that you love, obviously, and things that you really enjoy wearing. And if you like that item, you're not going to go out and like get it dirty or get it ripped or just like throw it just around the house because you don't care about it. Like it's a piece of item that you care about. And, and I feel like owning less clothes really puts it in perspective. And like you were saying, I think a lot of people have the misconception that minimalism is for people that are well off. We for sure are not well off. Yeah. We are one of those like paycheck to paycheck. And that's how we live. And we are minimalist. And, we don't actually own a lot of furniture. And we get a lot of comments saying like, oh, well, what happened to your dining room table that you had? It's like, well, you weren't using it. Didn't bring us any value. It didn't bring us any joy. So what was the point? So we just sold it. And
we had a nice table too. So we had like resurfaced an old table and like put some sweat equity into it. And it was a pretty good looking table. Problem is it was huge for the space, not right shaped or anything like that. Yeah. So we're like, we'll get rid of it. And then she put together like from our backyard table. She put together something and we used it way more than our huge table. Yeah. And
it was significant. It was like half the size of it. And, and like I said, like we don't have the money right now to buy a dining room table, but we were able to make do with what we have. And another big thing is that we borrow a lot from our family and friends. So, and that's another thing, like you don't have to own everything. You can borrow stuff from people.
Yeah. We don't own an iron. We've been borrowing my mom's iron for the past 3 months.
This is the one thing I don't understand. Like one of the things that Americans and their clothes, like we hang up our clothes outside, and that's, if you put it in the dryer, something drastic has happened. Like either it's flooding or like you need the clothes in 10 minutes. So we've always like hung up our clothes so they dry straight, so you never have to iron them. And so we do have an iron because my father's in the military, so he's always ironing his clothes. But I've never like had the desire to iron my clothes unless I've really, really had to. Like, for example, if my nice shirt that I'm wearing to a formal event is all crinkled up and it's 20 minutes until I need to leave, just give it a quick iron. But the whole ironing process like blows my mind. That and microwaves. No, it's not fun.
Yeah, that was like one of the first things I got rid of because I was like, screw this. I fucking hate it. But there are some things that I do need it for. But it's funny that you bring that up because I do follow a lot of like Instagram inspirational accounts that are minimalist families that actually live in Australia or New Zealand. And that's another big thing that they always talk about is like they don't use the dryer, which here is like, you don't use a dryer? Like, what is wrong with you? Because it's so like second nature to us. But it's funny because when I was younger, I grew up very, very poor. So we had to like make do with what we had. And for years, we only had a washer. And the house that my parents rented was a very old, like 1800 house. So they had like the setup in the backyard to hang clothes. So I remember like always having to hang up the sheets, and like if the storm was rolling in, my mom would like go get the sheets so they don't get rained on.
My grandma had a clothing line. Yeah, that was always just an antiquity that my grandmother had. But she like lives in the middle of nowhere in New York and has a huge clothing line. And whenever I went over there, she's like, help me hang the clothes up. And of course I'm young. It's my grandma, so I'm like, this is so dumb. Like grabbing the clothespin and hanging stuff up. Why don't you just throw it in the dryer?
Yeah. No, it's interesting because like So in Australia, it's standard. If you don't have a washing line in the back of your yard, if you've got a yard, then like, what's wrong with you? And most like buildings will have like an open area somewhere where you can hang up your clothes. The plus is if you can get an internal washing line as well underneath the roof if it rains. So then we just like, so today's a pretty dreary day. Rain's coming in and out all day. So we'll hang up all our clothes underneath that one, and they will still like be on the process of being dried as well.
I think it's another thing in America. It just seems unsightly to be hanging your underwear in the clothing line.
Like, how did you see the Johnsons had their knickers out on the lawn? Yeah, America's very weird.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When you were speaking about kitchen appliances, I was like running through my head like the kitchen appliances that I've got to go and buy to move to my new house. You know, essentials, things like a fridge, and we've got to buy a new stovetop because the old one has cooked it and stuff like that. And I'm sitting here going, because my father asked me, he goes, "Are you going to buy a microwave?" I sat there and go, "Who needs a microwave when you've got a stovetop?" He goes, "What? You know, you do you, but like no microwave." And so it's like this second nature thing for my dad to have a microwave to, you know, melt margarine real quickly, or, you know, do things quite quickly instead of just using the stovetop.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's always something you can shave out. And it kind of was like, oh, because I spent 6 months living, so my roommate moved out and a new roommate moved in, and the roommate who moved out took the microwave with her. So we just didn't have a microwave.
My friend doesn't have an oven. He has like a toaster oven and a range, but he doesn't have an actual oven. I'm like, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah, but it's crazy that
lived there for 5 years.
That's insane. I couldn't. But that's crazy that you have to like purchase a fridge and an oven for a rental place. Where here it's kind of second nature. It's like if they don't have it, they're gonna supply it for you.
It's a weird thing because it's my parents have bought the place to rent, for me to rent off them, and so obviously I've been helping them with the renovations and things like that. And the stovetop I think they'll provide, but the fridge is never a guarantee. So you can sometimes bring your own fridge, sometimes not. But it's hard because you've got to like really investigate and go, you know, what is supplied, what isn't, and, you know, in my old place, they supplied the fridge, but the fridge was like really tiny. So we had to I didn't want to buy a fridge at that point. So I had to make do. I had like a little freezer like cupboard in the fridge. And it was, when I moved in, it was frozen over. So I had to spend like 5 days defrosting this fridge and not being able to use it. And it was, it's wild.
Yeah, that's funny. And with the microwave, that's funny because we actually decluttered our microwave like pretty early on.
We had a countertop microwave for a while.
Yeah.
But, you know, we didn't use it too much.
We never really
when we moved into our current house, we have a built-in above our stove.
Which we don't even use. Like, we barely... I'm kind of tempted to just, like... get rid of it. He's not. He's like, we need to heat things up quick. I'm like, the stove works just fine.
Like you said, soften butter with it.
Declutter the microwave. You don't need it.
See, I'm really lucky I live so far north that softening butter is just putting it on the bench.
Same here. I mean, if we really, really were in a pinch, we could just probably stick it in the car and it would, like, melt super quickly.
Yeah, it's interesting. Even like making bread. Like my father loves making bread. And I like in winter it's kind of terrible. But then I go and watch like an American tutorial, and they're like, wait for 3 hours for the bread to rise, and I'm like, that takes 30 minutes on a good day.
Just leave it somewhere. Yeah.
That's so funny. Oh my goodness.
Anyway, in terms of kitchen stuff, like, Dan, what was some of the things that you had like the most conniptions about decluttering?
Oh boy.
We just had this conversation earlier today.
I maintain that I had a meat tenderizer at one point.
We never did.
Because I was making chicken parm and I had to flatten out the chicken breasts. And I'm like, I used to have a hammer for this, and now I have to use my bench scraper and our knife sharpening tool to like pound into it.
But you made do.
I made do. But I think a lot of it is like I want these, like, I want an Instapot like everyone talks about, or like I would love a Belgian waffle maker, but like that's counter space and cabinet space that we can't afford. So we also downsized a lot of our like dishes, which works wonders. I was kind of sketched out about it because I'm like, we host, we entertain a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we need all these dishes. She's like, no, we only really need like one per person.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's crazy. But it has certainly helped us with keeping clean, because if we don't have the dishes, we'll just wash them up real quick.
Yeah.
And it's not like you can just leave a pile of dishes in the sink.
Yeah.
Because if you have a lot of dishes, you're like, well, just leave it in the sink or the dishwasher and grab a fresh new one out the cabinet.
Yeah.
No, we have to like wash our dishes.
That was a big push for me. I was like, we don't need like 50 plates when it's just the two of us 90% of the time. And we're big on like, so this might be controversial, I think, to some listeners, because we're big on like, if you're going to come over, why don't you bring plates or like bring disposable plates, you know, because people always like offer, you know, hey, we're coming over. Is there anything that you want us to bring? A drink, a snack? We're like, yeah, you can bring that, or, you know, bring some plates also. And we've gotten, especially from my family, because I come from a big Hispanic family, and you don't have enough plates for everyone. That's crazy. So
it's rude.
It's rude. So my family is, every time they come over, like, what is wrong with you? Like, we're going to eat off of paper plates. I'm like, listen, I don't want to wash your dish.
No.
That's it.
Plates are the best.
So I'm the eldest of 10. So there are, at the moment, there are 9 children in the house. The 10th is living in the middle of the desert. Seems like also a recurring theme of this podcast.
Is he raising dragons in the desert?
I wish. No, he's an apprentice surveyor over there at the moment. And he's looking to move back here. But so at the moment, you know, all 9 of us are living here, plus mum and dad, so that's 10, 11, plus my grandfather who lives in a granny flat, 12. So we normally have like plus or minus 5 or 6 plates, you know, for everyone. So we can do like a full meal on like a flat plate or like a half bowl, or we do have proper bowls, but we don't have enough of them. We usually use them for breakfast, so it's kind of like a rolling breakfast. But when we have like friends over, the kids just take paper plates. You know, you take the paper plate and you eat off the paper plate because you're disgusting and we don't want to clean up after you. And the adults will use like the proper china. And it's hilarious. But the worst part is when we have a dishwasher. So because there is so many dishes going through, especially cups and like leftover containers and things, we're constantly washing them up. So we put them in the dishwasher. And so the dishwasher might not get put on. And then you get to like breakfast the next morning and none of the breakfast bowls are clean. And you're like,
Yep.
Or the one I've been experiencing the past couple of days here is cups. I think mum's like cut some of the cups that she normally has in the house. And so I can never find, like, I drink with the kids' cups because, that's just what I've been trained to do. And so I can't find like a kid's cup for me to drink out of. And I've had to go like searching, or the other night I was drinking out of a bowl. Just
done that before.
Just like, I need water.
My parents have, both sets of parents have like a lot of cups. My stepmom collects like weird mugs. Like I feel a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a nightmare. This is way too many cups.
2 cups. We had
We
4.
have 2 glasses and 4 mugs.
Yeah, we had 4. I broke 2 of them. So now we have 2.
I tell you what, our biggest, because part of minimalism is like buy it for life. You want to buy quality items
Yeah.
and have them for a longer period of time.
Right.
These hydro flasks, these 32-ounce flasks of water, carry them around everywhere, refill them, drink out of them.
Yeah.
I don't really use a glass too much unless
never
like
do I.
want some orange juice or something.
Yeah.
But
like a
for
special,
the most part,
Like we have like one wine glass and the two like drinking glasses, and like those we use when guests come over, because we literally walk around with our water bottles around the house anywhere we go. It's like, and if we want coffee, we have mugs to use for coffee. So it's like it's like we've definitely, before we owned a bunch of like specialty mugs, and we still get gifted those all the time for Christmas, and I'm like, thanks guys. We'll take a picture using it, but it's going in the declutter bin.
it's always difficult for our family to give us gifts because they always make remarks like, oh, well, you're minimalist, so you're super hard to shop for. Or they'll make a comment like, I better not see this in a Goodwill in a couple months. I'm like, well, you know, one, we don't want too many gifts.
Yeah.
And if we do, you know, we'll tell you what we want. And it's usually like, you know, like, so Theodore's birthday is this week. And his party is this weekend. And we did...
Oh no, did I lose you?
No, you're good. Sorry, technical difficulties.
No, that's okay.
So we did an Amazon list, and we're like, these are kind of the things we want. We don't want like loud plastic toys that make a lot of noise. No cell phone simulations or anything like that.
That your mom's already given him.
Probably, like those stupid toy cell phones. None of that. But it's always... our family gets a little picky with giving us gifts.
Yeah. And before, we used to be very, like, kind of upset. Like, I used to take it personally. I'm like, they just don't appreciate our lifestyle, and, like, they just don't understand. But it's come a couple years where it's like, you know what? They're gonna get us what they want to get us. We can try to dictate, you know, we want this, not that, all day, every day. But it comes down to the fact that if they can't afford to buy us that thing, or if they just don't want to, then it's fine. Then we'll accept it, appreciate it. And like, I have an understanding with your mom, that whenever she gives us stuff, she always gives us like, I feel like a warning. If it's something that if it's like a hand-me-down from like one of her kids, she'll kind of say, okay, well, I'm loaning this to you. If you don't want it, give it back to me. Don't donate it. And if it's something that she bought, she's like, you know, I'm giving it to you. Here's a gift receipt. If you want to return it or exchange it, you're more than welcome to. If not, you can donate it. And if I want it, she's like, if you really don't want it, you can ask me if I want it back, and I'll see if I still want it. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really the only family member that like kind of, we've come to that understanding. And, you know, a lot of the minimalism stuff she still doesn't understand fully. Like, we have to get our son special shoes due to his like walking issues right now. And we were like, we're just going to Amazon some cheap $10 shoes, because he is 1 year old and he is going to like outgrow them next month. And she was like, you need to buy him really good expensive shoes. Like really good proper ones. I'm like, we could get by with $10 shoes. That'll work just fine.
For the like 2 months he'll wear it. Like you don't need to spend a crap ton of...
That's I think the biggest expense my parents ever have starting back up to school is shoes.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the times, you know, by the end of the year, they've grown out of them or they've trashed the shoes. And so you end up having to buy like a whole set of more shoes.
Oh, yeah.
When the children just buy cheap shoes.
Or hand-me-downs. We're big into like second-hand shops and like thrift stores. We call them thrift stores here. I don't know what you guys call them.
Things like that. A lot of the time we get like once a month we'll get like a huge bag of clothes from like a family like a family relative or something.
Yeah.
So mum's cousin is really close with our family. And so her children are a couple of years older than me. And so we would get all of their hand-me-downs. I'm not wearing any of the hand-me-downs right now. But like that, some of that stuff still circulates through the wardrobe. my baby brother was wearing a onesie, and Mum goes, "Oh, where do you think that's from?" I'm like, "Wait, did I wear that when I was a baby?" And she's like, "No, your brother did, but close enough." And like my mum and her sisters like are still having children, so they would swap the maternity wear and the baby clothes and the child seats as well to an extent at one point before they changed all the rules, and you've got to like be extra safe.
Yeah, definitely.
She gets some of her clothes from my sister. They're the same size. So my sister is 16 with a job and no bills. So she spends all her money on clothes.
Yeah.
My mom recently revealed that she has 31
or 30,
pairs of
like
jeans.
32 pairs of jeans right now.
Way too many jeans.
Yeah. She just bought for the school year. I'm like, I don't even think there's enough school to...
How often do you do laundry?
Yeah,
Right?
Exactly.
But she's like, yeah, I'll just give some to Jovana. I'm like, but like, just don't spend your money on them.
Yeah.
Like 31 pairs of jeans, and jeans that here in America probably cost like
Average like $50.
$50 probably.
Maybe.
Like you can get cheaper pairs for like 20, 30, but
Yeah.
it's a lot when you add it all up.
Yeah. It's a
100%,
lot.
yeah.
Clothes are expensive too. And like I said, coming from a big family also, I was the same way growing up. I never had anything new. When I did have something new, it was definitely a treat. It was like, we have a little bit of money to get you like a brand new pair of shoes and a brand new pair of pants and socks. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole not growing up with much has actually transferred into my adult life, and I get my parents bought a new fridge a couple months ago. I got very excited about that. I had to buy myself new shoes, and I waited until the old shoes were so wrecked that there was literally like no sole left in them before I bought new ones. Admittedly, I wore them every day for a solid 12 months, and then they got to that state, and I was like, I'm gonna have to buy myself new shoes now.
Yep.
But like it's sometimes I think that the extra thought, can this bit of clothing go a little bit further? Do I need to replace it right now? And then like buying to last as well. We have a Target here, but I think the real equivalent of your Target is our Kmart, which is I think it's run by the same group of stores. From memory? Yeah, they are. They're run by the same group of stores, but they're like the real discount. You walk in and the place smells of plastic.
Yeah.
We used to have Kmarts, and then they shuttered business in the U.S. I know that they're like some places international, but we had a Kmart near us. It was trash. It's a garbage store.
The computers were like from 1920. Like it was like
This isn't
starting it
related-
up.
This isn't related to minimalism at all, but I fix cash registers and ATMs for a living, and we had Kmart as a customer for a while. Their computers were made, I think, in 1992. I would see stickers this like 1992, and they were running like a touch screen on them and these new debit readers, and they're like, why are our registers so slow? Like, dude, you're plugging in like this super fast technology into the equivalent of like a Mac 2, like a really old computer.
Dinosaur.
So like you got to give it some time. They were a nightmare to work on, full of sharp metal. I cut myself sometimes working on them. Terrible.
But it makes sense. They were made to last.
Yeah. And this is the thing, like, I get quite upset with a lot of, like, my mum bought me a whole bunch of new shirts for my birthday, which was almost 12 months, was, 10 months ago now? Like, it's getting back towards my birthday now. Anyway, I'm wearing one of the shirts right now, and one of the things I'm really upset about, like, mum bought them, and they were, like, relatively expensive, built to last. And one of the things I'm upset about is they're starting to wear out. They're not like super thin, like I could still wear them for another 6 to 12 months, but like I can see them wearing out, and I'm like kind of disappointed because I would love to be able to wear them for a lot longer. And for work as well, at one stage I was like, I bought myself some dark pants because they required dark pants. And then I was wearing a grey shirt that I just picked up out of Kmart for just to wear as like a plain coloured shirt because I don't own a lot of plain coloured shirts. I'm like, oh, this like fits really nice and like it sits really nice on my body, not realising that it was brand new and about to wear out like real quick. And so I bought myself like 10 other sets of shirts. And so, like, at this point, I have a box of, like, grey shirts and other shirts that I've worn to the point where there's, like, holes in them. You can't wear them anymore. And I'm like, they're just my rags now. So when my roommate flooded the bathroom a couple of weeks ago, we used them to clean up the bathroom. But, like, it kind of makes me disappointed that and so it's really hard to now find clothes that are going to last me.
That's another thing. It's like, it's especially in this day and age, we have so many fast fashion. Everything is made to last 3 weeks and then recycled to get the newest.
Yeah, nothing's made with quality
thing
anymore.
And it's really annoying because, like, I was doing a little bit of research before I came on, and it's like in the 50s or like the 40s and 50s, the average woman had about 30 items. And those items, I mean, you can go to a vintage store and pretty much find them in almost mint condition because they were made to last. They were made to keep for years and years, those items. And then now we have so many plastic material in our clothing that just shreds apart. And you would think like plastic, it's supposed to be made to last. It's actually not. It's actually the complete opposite. It's like you were saying, like your mom bought you a pretty good quality shirt, but I bet if you looked at the tag, there was probably some sort of like polyester blend or like spandex in it to like give you like the stretch and the wear. But in reality, it's just it's just meant to break apart. And it's super sad because it's like, you know, it's kind of like a full circle thing. It's like owning less, buying quality. And then, you know, a lot of this stuff, it's like, we donate. We try to be very conscious about where we donate and who we give our items to, because before, when we first started our journey, we were just like shoveling stuff to Goodwills and just like any secondhand shop that we could. And then we saw a couple of documentaries about climate change and everything. And we didn't realize that like 90% of the clothes that people donate to Goodwills end up in landfill. Like half the time they don't even end up being resold. And they can be perfectly good clothing.
Minimalism ties a lot into, you know, eco-friendliness too. Like it's all kind of chained together.
It's like so it goes hand in hand for sure.
We learned a lot about fast fashion in our whole minimalist thing. And that's another reason why, like, we buy secondhand a lot. We try to keep items that, you know, might have a stain, but they're functional or something like that.
Or repair things, like maybe like a shirt, if it has a hole somewhere where it's a seam, maybe you can take it somewhere to get it like fixed. Or I follow this YouTuber, what is his name?
Jeff.
No, it's Levi Hildebrand. He's really big. He's not like a full minimalist, but he's really big into like eco-friendly and reusing. And he does an array of videos on how to fix your shoes and the quality shoes that you should spend your money on that you can actually take to a cobbler and get them resold or, you know, get them fixed. And in like learning all of that, I've really realized, I'm like, wow, like, you know, we're putting these cobblers, these people that have like done these things for years out of business because we're just going to Kmart or Target and buying $10 shoes when the other ones are perfectly fine. They just need a new sole to them. So it's really like a full circle. Like once you get into one area of minimalism, it really, I feel like, opens your mind up to so many different avenues also.
Yeah, I definitely think that. And I'm very glad that I live and am privileged enough to be able to like see that happening. Like with a large family and people live quite close together, I often see my brother go from him to his younger brother and go, here's a bunch of clothes that don't fit me anymore. Take them. If they don't fit you, put them in a box to be used later, or, you know, start wearing them now. Or I'm about to go and have a look at some furniture that an old lady who's a friend of a friend who's moving out of her place, I think into a nursing home or something. And so looking at the furniture there, seeing what we can use when we move in, because me and my brother are moving in together. And it's just, I'm really lucky to be able to, but I feel like so sad for those people who sometimes just haven't been able or haven't been exposed to it. Haven't seen, how awesome and how beneficial it is on all aspects.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And like you're saying, like getting secondhand furniture, I feel like it's way better than buying new stuff. Like when we got married, we bought like a $1,500 couch, and it's funny because to us that was a crazy amount of money to spend on a couch, but to other people that's like that's cheap. And it's like, It's kind of like, what? And we've had it now for like 6 years, and mostly I have struggled with even wanting to keep it anymore, because it's so torn up by our cats. It's stained with our son, and just life. And we debated going back and forth whether we should buy like a cheap IKEA one, because what's the point in buying quality if it's just going to end up broken? But we really kind of like we analyzed it and took it from another perspective, and we're like, you know what? Like, what's going to happen to that couch when we get rid of it? Like, if we donate it, they're going to throw it away because of the damage done to it. Mm-hmm. Nobody's really going to want a stained couch that has stains and rips on the base. So we've really been researching on how to like reupholster it ourselves. And that's kind of our goal this year, is to recover our couch, because there's nothing wrong with it. Everything is perfect. It's just aesthetically looks ugly. Yeah. So it's like, what's the point in spending all this money and adding more things to landfill and to the ocean when we can just try to fix it and get more years out of it? And you were saying that you're getting furniture from an older lady. I feel like old people take care of their things very well.
So well.
Because I feel like they grew up in a time where like they didn't have a lot of money to buy things, and when they did, their stuff was made quality. So they kept it, and I remember my grandmother had a very old set that was covered up in plastic.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a prevalent thing in Australia or not, but like some people will cover their furniture in plastic to like
preserve
keep it from staining and preserving it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a period of time where I think my grandparents covered this stuff in plastic, and then they just was like, we're just going to buy the bullet and not worry about it.
Yeah.
It kind of ruins the couch. Like, it ruins the comfortableness of the couch.
Yeah.
You're sweaty on plastic.
Yeah.
It's just...
But my grandmother had her couch set for like 20 plus years, and she passed away a couple years ago, and they just took the plastic off, and it's like nothing ever happened. It was like brand new out of the box. Wow. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, and it's like this old Victorian looking set, and it was so funny because they took it off, and you can see, because like the plastic didn't fit all the way down to the legs, so you can see the discoloration from where the plastic was protecting it to like where it was exposed to the elements, and it's just like night and day difference. It's so funny.
What has been the easiest thing in terms of minimalism, like getting into
I'll let you go first.
I mean, so honestly, what I liked about starting it up is it costs no money. It's great. It's a hobby that's free, and you just get rid of stuff. But I think the whole thing has kind of made our lives easy. You don't have to think about much. I think they go into this a lot in a lot of minimalist like writings. It really does kind of have an effect on your mental health. Because if your space is cluttered, your mind is cluttered, and you get worried like, oh, I've got dishes to do, I've got to clean this, I've got to take care of that. When you don't have a lot of stuff, it's easier to clean. We can clean our house in less than half an hour.
Yeah.
Our whole house. We've got a 2-bedroom, 1,000 square foot house. We can clean it up and mop and sweep in like half an hour. Yeah. And that frees up the rest of our day. It frees up our mind to kind of think about other things. So I just say the whole thing has made our lives a lot easier.
Yeah, and for me, it's the same kind of like premise. It's made our lives easier, and it's honestly freed up a lot more time to focus on stuff that we actually really enjoy. Like I was telling you earlier before we started recording, I started going back to school to study something completely different than what I originally studied when I was younger. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I wasn't a minimalist. I think I'm slightly OCD. So like if I see clutter in my brain, it's like mental clutter. And I'm one of those that like before I sit down to do anything, I have a running checklist of like last minute things before I do something else. And just owning less has freed up so much time. It's freed up a lot of time for me to focus on my son and having more quality time with him, having more quality time with my husband also, because it's, you know, I grew up in a household with my mom and my stepdad, and they had a very strenuous relationship, and it was a lot of other factors that played in. Mm-hmm. But I remember growing up, a big factor was they constantly argued about who's cleaning up, who's doing the dishes, who's cleaning the living room, and I was always taught like chores aren't fun. You have to do them, and if you don't get to do fun stuff. So growing up like that, I was like, that kind of sucks. Like, I don't want to raise my kids that way. I don't want to continue living my life with like, I gotta do the dishes. This is not fun. When really it's like, okay, I'll do the dishes. It takes me like 10 minutes tops to do like a whole thing of dishes. And that's even washing it by hand. And after I'm doing that, I can do whatever the hell I want. I can go watch TV. Yeah. I can go veg out on the couch. I can go do a hobby. You know,
you don't have that dark cloud looming over you of like, you gotta do stuff.
Yeah, and like you have ADHD, and I've noticed a big shift from when we first lived together. And I would ask you like, hey, can you like clean up your mess? It would take you like 3 days to clean up one counter. When now, like you were saying earlier, you kind of get like cold sweats at night, even if there's anything on the countertop before you go to bed. Like he's even sometimes like if there's food, I'm like, it's fine, we'll get it in the morning. He's like, no, we need to do it right now. It's gonna be in my dream tonight. I'm like, okay, babe, I'll go take care of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like with a child as well, like a small child, like obviously you got a lot of like other things you got to think about. Has it become easier or harder?
So
harder for the most part.
Harder for the most part. In the beginning, it was very hard because we were new parents. We had zero experience with owning our own child, having our own child,
owning him.
So like we had zero experience owning our. Oh my gosh, I keep saying that. Having our own child. Having our own child, like he has younger siblings and I have much younger siblings also. So like I remember, but like I don't at the same time. I was a teenager when my brother and sister were babies. So we were big in the beginning and like we have to keep everything and anything, and
like the sentimental toys and
sentimental toys, just like newborns. Like we had to have every single swaddle and every single size. We had to have we had at one point like 3 or 4 bassinets, like sleep areas for him to sleep in, and it was like
we had the pack and play in the living room, we had the crib in his room, and then we had a bedside bassinet in our room.
And then we had a travel one, and it was like, why do we have all of this places for him to sleep? It's one child. Like, what the heck are we doing?
I think the most challenging was definitely the equipment.
Yeah.
Because not only that, but, you know, those things take up floor space.
Yeah.
And, you know, our house is decent size, but not huge.
Yeah.
So when we have his, like, automatic swing, that takes up a lot of space. We have his walker and, you know, his toy shelf.
Yeah.
The way we've kind of, you know, done it, you know, it's good that we're out of the phase where he needs like a walker or like a swing and stuff like that. Yeah. Also with his toys, we're big on Montessori learning. which is this whole cool way
it's
like
like
of teaching your kids.
child-led learning, and a lot of it's based on like natural like things, like we said earlier, like we try to veer away from like plastic toys and and electronic toys, and we do like wooden blocks and practical life things.
But another part of it is we rotate out his toys. So we don't have a lot of toys, and so if he gets bored with his toys, we aren't buying new toys at the store. We'll rotate out something he hasn't seen in a couple weeks, and it's like new to him. So that's also definitely helped like thread the needle between minimalism and having a kid, which is very difficult.
And a big thing, I think we had we took a couple trips down to Florida, and from Virginia to Florida we try to drive it. That's about a 10-hour drive, but with an infant that's about a 14-hour drive. So I remember the first time we went, I honestly had a huge panic attack, and I like broke down because we have like a fairly smaller SUV. It's comfortable, but it's small. Our entire trunk, back seat, and the passenger seat was completely full of just his stuff. And we were going there for like 3 days.
If we travel for a week, we can do it in basically a duffel bag. Like we pack in a backpack, small suitcase, something like that.
So we had one bag between the two of us, and then the entire car full of equipment, toys, just everything. Because it was one of those like, well, we don't know what he's going to need, so we're going to have to take it all. And I actually had a conversation with this lady that I follow on my Instagram account. If anyone's listening, shout out to my Instagram, Ordinarily Simple. But anyways, I contacted her because she has like 4 kids, and I was like, how do you travel with 4 kids and not lose your mind on carrying all of this equipment? And she made a good point. She said, you know what, if you need it on the trip, there's going to be stores, there's going to be like gas stations you can stop. She's like, if there's something that you're going to need, 99% of the time it's going to cost you maybe $20 or less to have that item. And our last trip to Florida was super easy. Like we pretty much packed a bin. We took his sleep pack and like his little eating table, and
that's about it.
That was it. I mean, it was so easy, and we didn't even need those like extra stuff that we thought before.
I'm curious how travel goes for your family, Sam.
It's a wild ride. So most of the time we go camping when we go traveling. If we go traveling to go see other people, we're visiting our aunts and uncles who have all got children as well. So most of like the basic children's stuff is already all covered, or we just don't bring it. So when we go camping, oftentimes it's remote enough that things are quite expensive to go and buy. So we make sure we pack up on like all the essentials. So you got your food and your water, but also like things like nappies and other bits and pieces. And then about 15 years ago, we bought this massive tent. It still works. And that's what we all sleep in. And the kids sleep on like the kids who are old enough sleep on doonas, and we just layer a couple of old doonas and they sleep on top of that. And it's usually in the summer, so they don't need anything on top of them. And then we've got a cot as well. So we've got a porta cot, which we use for either the infant or if like we're staying at someone else's house and they don't have a cot of some description, we'll bring it with us. And we normally travel via road as a big family. So I've done a lot of plane traveling recently because I've been doing a lot of traveling by myself. So for example, went down to Newcastle late last year, went out to Alice Springs mid this year, went up to Rockhampton on Monday. So, I've been around a little bit, but when we go traveling as a family, it's in a car. So we'll have a trailer full of, with like your camping stuff. So table, Dad's got like a roll-out kitchen that belongs in there. And then like stretchers. So we all sleep on old army stretchers. And then like everyone brings their own pillow from their bed. and it kind of sits, there's like a nice gap in the back of the seat that you can put the pillow in, and then like one backpack is usually full of books and another backpack's full of like small games and card games and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So your family's like pretty much mastered traveling with like 10 kids.
We used to probably like 4 times a year drive down to Sydney because a lot of mum and dad's friends were still living in Sydney while we were living up here in Brisbane. And it's a 12-hour trip door to door normally. Actually, I think it's gotten up to like 13, 14 hours with Sydney traffic since... Yeah, it's terrible. Anyway, so we used to do that trip quite a lot, and mum and dad would do the overnight run. So we'd get down to the border by about 6, 7 o'clock at night, and we'd be arriving in Sydney as the sun rose at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. And mum and dad had been driving for 12 hours straight, tag teaming and, you know, keeping it safe. So like there was no requirement to entertain the children because most of them were sleeping. I can't sleep on a moving vehicle. So I would normally just be awake and watching what was happening outside the window. But it's very interesting because, you know, obviously, you know, with one child, it's very different to traveling with like 7 children or 10 children or however many children are going to be on the particular trip. And we often also bring like, so the last camping trip I went on with the family, we went up to Bundaberg, which is about, what if Rockhampton is 6 hours, 6.5 hours, there's probably like a 4-hour drive, but we were taking a car that was going like a lot slower than everyone else. So it ended up when we took it slow as well. So we brought our aunt along with us. She's from Adelaide down in the south of Australia, and she flew up and then we drove up. And so like just by having someone different as well, it's like entertaining enough as well. We don't have to like worry too much. And, you know, stopping and going to the beach or, you know, entering a new town and having a look at, you know, the new town. My favorite, so Maryborough is actually where PL Travellers grew up. And so when we drove through there, I was just sitting there spouting facts off the top of my head that I knew about the city.
That's Dan.
Yeah.
Dan's the same way. Did you know? No, I didn't know, actually. But you're going to tell me.
Yeah. And so we find ways to entertain ourselves. There has been times where like traveling has been a nightmare. There was one particular trip, the whole family met up in Melbourne, down near Melbourne. I couldn't go because I was at a music camp here, so I stayed with my grandparents. And then my dad got called up and told that A, he was being promoted, and B, he had an army thing he needed to go to. So he had to fly back up and get himself all sorted. He didn't end up being deployed, but then mum had to drive up by herself with a newborn and all the rest of the children. And she rang dad one afternoon and goes, I think something that the window of the car wasn't working. It was like slowly falling down. She's like, I'm just not having it. And so, but she pushed through, but like at the same time, it's like there are points where like traveling with 7 children is just not fun.
No,
Goodness.
that's got to be a challenge.
Yeah, that sounds stressful, and especially by herself with a newborn. Oh my goodness, your mom's a superhero.
Yeah, she's not learnt, but has experienced a lot of things that I think if she hadn't had experienced it, she would I don't know, react to situations very differently.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's so impressive. And we're over here complaining about like our one child full of crap.
But it's scalable. So this is the real interesting thing. Like, and it's the same with minimalism. Everything's scalable. So you know, I was thinking about the things you were speaking about. I'm like, well, you know, we recently culled a whole bunch of stuff we don't need out of the trailer for our camping trips. You know, we culled clothes. You know, we're all musicians, so we've all got like music and stuff. But we ended up sitting down like a couple months ago and going through all the music and going, you know, we've got duplicates of this, we don't need it, you know, and things like that. It's the same with children as well. My father has this theory that as soon as you get past like 4 children, you don't need to like scale things up anymore. The only thing we've really scaled up recently is like the amount of rice or pasta we cook when we make dinners. Other than that, like the core of the meal stays the same. And it's the same with like, you know, we had a couple Christmases ago, we had all of my mother's extended family. My mother's one of 7. So there were 25 grandchildren, 14 people and their 14 children, 7 children and their partners, and then like partners of some of the older cousins as well who were there. And we were telling like our neighbors about this, like, how are you going to cater for all that? I'm like, we'll just like make 2 of our normal breakfasts rather than just 1.
Yeah, wow. But that makes sense though. I mean, my grandmother was the same way. She lived in New York in like a 3-story house, and I used to go to her for the summers, and she would have like a massive table, and she would just crank out meals like within an hour. And I'm like, how are you doing this, lady? I mean, she had a gigantic rice pot, which helped, but it was just easy for her because she grew up in a big family also, and she's like you were saying, you just add more. You need rice, just double what you normally do. And it's, I came from a very like not so wealthy family. And even from being a not so wealthy family, everyone was always fed. I cannot remember a time when our cupboards were empty of food. Like it was, food was just always there. It's, and like you said, it's just, even though you have kids, you just kind of like scale up to accommodate them, and realizing now kids don't need a lot of stuff.
My sister is literally standing outside the window here pushing a pram, like a full-size pram around just because she can.
Yeah.
Theodore's favorite thing is like a little dollar store broom that he has. He doesn't. He carries it everywhere.
The cheapest toy, and he loves it. Like he doesn't even for his birthday, we keep getting people saying, like, what kind of toys does he like? I'm like, he doesn't even play with toys. He plays with, like, crap around the house. Like, the fucking, like, dish towels. He'll sit there and, like, scrub the floor with. I'm like, okay, bud, if that's going to entertain you for 30 minutes, go right ahead. Or, like, our wallets. We'll give him our wallets in the car if he's crying. And he's just so entertained with, like, removing and putting the cards back in. So easy. So easy.
No, that's definitely one. Or my mother's handbag, because my mum prepares for everything. So, like, her handbag, and the kids would just go through the handbag. And we'd be, I don't know, at church or something, and like people around like, this child's going through your handbag. Mum goes, it's okay. I know what's in there.
There's a snack in there. They're fine.
There's not needles in there. There's nothing dangerous.
No, there's nothing dangerous. It's all fine. And, in the end, it's kept them quiet for a good 10 minutes while I can deal with the other child who's doing something wrong.
Exactly. And it's funny because we have we have a couple of friends that are first-time parents also, and not to throw anybody under the bus or anything, but we've definitely like seen the dynamic of like, the amount of things that they have or like toys that they have for their kid. And it's funny because when my son goes over on play dates, I think he's so like overwhelmed sometimes with the amount that his friends sometimes like have compared to our house. Like we have a small corner. We have a basket of books. We have a basket of musical instruments. And then we have a little castle, and then his like kitchen set. And that's literally all that's usually out on a day-to-day basis. And when he goes to his friend's house, they'll have like shelves of like toys and buckets of toys. And it's so funny seeing him because he almost gets manic. Like he jumps from like one thing and then he's like, oh my God, there's like so many other things. And it's so funny because he'll sit there and like dump out a box of toys, look at it, and then get up and like walk away.
100%. We are that family with shelves and shelves of toys. And like, it's like organized and like things are in buckets. So, if the children want to play with the Lego, they bring out the Lego bucket. Or if they want to play with the train set, they bring out the train set bucket. And, we've got a very large bookshelf because we're all quite invested in reading. But at the same time, I sit there and kids are overwhelmed by like the amount of choices they have.
Yeah.
My 2-year-old sister, I had to get her dressed just before we sat down, and she had both underpants and a nappy. I'm like, what are we choosing? We're choosing an underpants or a nappy. She was like, underpants, then a nappy, or nappy, then underpants. And I'm like, we can't do both. And so she was just overwhelmed by it. I'm like, we got to make this decision more simple. And I don't think we can.
It's literally two choices.
Exactly. But it really, like, you know, comes, like, minimalism, like, in learning more about it, I've been really big into, like, researching, like, where the hell this even started from. And it was started from an art movement, like, you know, trying to express art by the minimalist, by, like, minimal means as possible, which I love. I mean, I love minimal art. I think it's really, I'm a photographer, so I think, you know, when I was going to school, I was big into, like, scaling down my photos and focusing on, like, the one area of a huge, you know, array of things. And, you know, in researching a lot of this, it's come to, like, my attention that it's like, you know, we are so bombarded with so many advertisements, so many choices.
A lot of information.
Yeah, a lot of information. And
you'll scroll through Netflix for like 20 minutes before finding something.
Yeah, and it's like, even when you wake up, you're like bombarded with choices. You have to decide what to wear, what to eat, you know, what you're going to do that day. You're on your phone. You already have seen maybe 10 advertisements in the first hour of being awake. And it's like, as adults, you kind of filter it out in a way. You kind of become numb to all of that. But as a child, like, seeing him grow up in that perspective, like, we try to monitor, like, television time. And it's funny because there's only one show that he loves, which is The Wiggles.
Yes, we're a huge fan of your Australian Wiggles.
Yeah. Did you see the news about The Wiggles the other day? They're expanding. So they've got 4 new. So they obviously got their 4 main. They got 4 new for diversity and a whole bunch of other things. So one of the guys, so the 4th guy, so there's 4 guys and 4 girls now. He is John from the Justice Crew. And so, like, my generation has been reinvested in the Wiggles, and they've got, like, a Chinese Australian, I think she's a ballet dancer, and an Aboriginal Australian woman, and a third woman who I completely forget what's interesting about her. No offense to her, the conversation's more about those 3 than it's about them. But yeah, the Wiggles are, like, our favorite.
So my little sisters, they're 16 now, so they grew up
watching, like, the original
mid-2000s. Yeah. They watched the original. We found on YouTube the one they did with Crocodile Hunter at the Australian Zoo.
Yes.
And that brought back so many memories. And then Theodore loves the new ones that are on our Netflix. Yeah. But we only have, like, 2 seasons of it. He only watches that.
On repeat.
He doesn't watch... I think what helps is the TV's not at his eye line. So he'll just, you know, be on the floor doing stuff and we'll watch TV and he won't join. We'll go to some friend's house who have their TVs, like, fairly close to the floor. And... their kids will be, like, sucked into the TV. Yeah. He only gets sucked in by the Wiggles.
Yeah.
He is a huge fan.
We've tried Bluey. We've tried Hilda. We've tried everything. The Wiggles, right when that comes on, that's it. His, like, full attention. Yeah. But it's funny because in realizing it, like, even with kids' toys, there are advertisements on that. And it's like overwhelming to think that these, like, little babies are being overwhelmed with so much information already. And they're not even, like, a year old. And
100%,
yeah. And then, like, in minimizing, it's really helped us, like, try to filter out a lot of it, but you can't avoid it. It's everywhere.
Yeah, even, like, the Wiggles. Like, the Wiggles are pretty good. They're pretty... Their commercial stuff is pretty separate to their performances. But, like, even then, it's like, you know, I'm doing an Australian media unit at the moment, so I am looking quite closely at things like Wiggles and Bluey and other movies and bits and pieces. And even Bluey, you don't think of it as an advertisement, but it is actually an advertisement for Brisbane, which is the city I live in, actually host a radio show around the corner from where it is being created right now. So
that's so cool. I saw like it was made in Queensland, like the end of it. So I brushed up a little bit on Australia geography because I'm like, I think he said he's from Brisbane, somewhere around there. I'm like looking at a map and I'm like, okay, boom, boom, boom. So I was able to track. I'm like, okay, you said you go down south to Sydney. I see that. But I saw the movie was made there.
And then so where Steve Irwin lived and the zoo that he created, Australia Zoo, is an hour north of where I currently am.
Sam, we're gonna come visit you soon.
Well, this is the thing. This is why I keep advocating for the Movie Night Crew meetup to be here, because there's just so many cool things to do.
Forget Richmond, where like half of them are located. Let's all just spend $1,500 on a trip to Australia.
There's nothing to do here. Nothing exciting. There's trees and flatlands. Not exciting.
Lots of beer.
I don't know. Some of the photos of the hikes that you guys can do there look pretty dope. I can't wait.
Yeah,
those are pretty cool.
Tina uploads like pictures from what is that place under the bridge? What is that called?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's like slight rock scrambling. It's like off a river, and it's really cool because you can like, when the tide is low, you can pretty much like walk on the river. And they have this old abandoned building on the opposite side of it, which you can actually walk up to, and it's kind of awesome. Eerie and creepy.
Yeah. That's I can't wait. Once borders it's looking like, I said this time last year, but it's looking like borders will open sometime towards the end of this year, mid next year. In fact, our national airline has said borders must open by the end of the year. I'm really looking forward to coming and visiting all these amazing people that I've seen through a Zoom screen, but never actually seen in person.
That would be awesome. Have you ever been to the States before?
Yeah, so in 2012, my family did, this is the one plane trip we did, we went up the West Coast, so we flew into LA, went up to Vancouver, did some skiing up there, and then drove down to Seattle, spent a couple of days there, and then flew back to LA and did, obviously, Disneyland, and flew back. And we did it right on the quiet season, so it was like, what was it? It was like mid to late January, and I got back to school like a week late. But it was like awesome. One of the best experiences, and I would go and do it in a heartbeat again.
We visited California a couple years ago, and
that's where we found out we were pregnant with Theodore.
Yeah.
California is great. I love the mix of beach and mountain. Right next to each other.
You don't really get that on the East Coast. It's either like city. If you go east north, it's like New York City, and if you go south, it's Florida and like just beaches. So I feel like
as well.
Yeah, I'm from the East Coast, so to me, I'm like, there's nothing to see here. This is all boring shit. Go to the West Coast. It's more interesting.
I say the same about Brisbane here. Like, there are some pretty awesome things to do, and I reckon you could like spend like a solid week doing some pretty awesome stuff. But like, to me, as someone who's lived here for the last, when did we move? 2004. So I've been here for so the last 15 years. It's just kind of boring. Like, oh yes, Australia Zoo is awesome. There's a huge amount, like, we have a SeaWorld. I think it's the only SeaWorld in Australia, but like, we've got a huge amount of theme parks, and we've got like other really awesome things you could do. But then I'm sitting here going, I've done it before. Yeah, it's okay.
Been there, done that.
Anyway, we've been talking for like forever. So we better wrap things up. I've enjoyed every second of it, I have to say. It's been so interesting talking with you guys, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Of course. It was great to finally talk to you instead of just on Discord.
It was great meeting you, because I always hear him talking about all his family and stuff on Discord and everyone he talks to, so it's great. It's great.
She doesn't understand Discord.
I don't. I'm anti social media, with the exception of Instagram.
No, Discord has quite a steep learning curve. Like, I never judge anyone for not being on Discord.
I looked at him like, are you like hacking someone? He's like, what? It's just talking to people. I'm like, that does not look like you're talking to people.
Yeah. Well, speaking of social media, where can people find you guys on the internet?
Yeah, so I have to pull up my Instagram to remember what my screen name is.
She has two.
Because I have two accounts. Because my minimalism account is ordinarily _ simple _ on Instagram, and that's pretty much where I post like pictures of my house. I mean,
we do tap to tidy stories, which is
Yeah.
my favorite, where we'll take a picture of the mess beforehand.
Yeah.
And then it'll be like tap to get to the next part of the story, and it's all clean. I love that.
Yeah, so that's where you can find me. If anyone's interested in minimalism or like aesthetics, like that's kind of where I started off with minimalism as aesthetics. Totally check out my page. I try to keep it super simple, super easy, because like I said, I'm anti-social media. So I post when I want to post and when I can post. And yeah, and
Awesome.
that's where you want to find me.
And then I'm on Twitter at Dan DeShetler. I'm kind of a big deal there, you know.
Just followed.
Yeah, I think you've got the best following out of anyone on the Movie Night Crew Network in terms of social media. It's just, I can't believe that you're followed by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
It's my brag at every party now.
It's crazy.
It's great.
When that happened, I thought he had a heart attack because he about fell over.
So she was out of town. I was also at work, and for legal purposes, this is not true. I was checking my phone as I was like driving, and so I'm like driving in my car. I look at the phone, get that notification, just start screaming in my car.
You've almost got to like pull over at that point.
I almost did.
Well, he called me and like could barely talk, and I'm like, "Are you okay? What's going on? Do I need to call someone?" He was like, "I just got followed by Lin-Manuel Miranda."
We're mutuals now.
I'm like, "Okay, cool. Don't be a creep now."
That's always the hardest part when like someone of influence follows you. Like, oh, I really would love to message them, but then like, what borders on creepy?
Yeah, it's like act cool.
It's like I've got to step up my Twitter game to make myself more interesting. I've got to not resist the urge to message them every question in my brain.
And then get yourself unfollowed because of that.
And has there been any media like TV shows, podcasts, movies, audiobooks or books that you've been consuming lately that you want to plug?
I'll do something non-minimalist related if you've got a minimalist thing.
I do, yes.
Okay. Taskmaster, the TV show, especially the New Zealand iteration, is great. I don't know if you've ever seen Taskmaster.
I have seen snippets of it, and it is insanely hilarious.
It's great. For those listening who don't know, it is a TV show with 5 comedians, and they're like sent to a house and perform these ridiculous tasks. They can range in scope from, painting a painting in the dark, and paint the best rainbow, to getting 3 yoga balls to the top of a hill, to delivering plates on a hoverboard. There's a lot of tasks, and sometimes it's lateral thinking, sometimes it's just dumb. The current season of the New Zealand one is probably my favorite ever.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's the best. And then like a book I've been taking like almost a year to read because a child, is The Minimalist Home by Joshua Baker. It's a fairly easy read, honestly. I'm a lazy reader. I've been really enjoying that. And I've also, another book that I really, really enjoy for people that kind of want to like jumpstart, like, or have some like inspiration. Goodbye Things by, what is his name? Fumio Sasaki. I love him. I love his book. I love like the aesthetics of the book. He's an extreme minimalist, so he's somebody that like lives furniture free, has like 4 pairs of clothes pretty much. But we're not extreme minimalists, but I love the aesthetic of it. I love the clean lines and everything. And so, yeah, totally recommend those 2 books for anybody interested. And for parents that are interested in like, how can you be a minimalist while being a parent? The Minimalist Mom on YouTube, highly recommend her. She's the lady that runs her name is Dawn. She has like 4 kids. She lives in the country in like, I think Oklahoma. Absolutely wonderful lady, super down to earth, and keeps it completely real. And yeah, totally worth checking out those.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, you can find me at SamOBJournalist on Twitter and sam.the.journalist on Instagram and TikTok. With my new Wi-Fi soon, I should be able to be uploading a whole bunch more on TikTok because I really enjoy the platform there. And I am going to plug today Mad Max Fury Road. I have to watch it for an assignment, so why not plug it?
I love that movie.
Nice.
I haven't seen that in a while, but like, just it's such a wild ride.
Yeah.
The development of it is also a wild ride, and I have to speak about that. From what I've read, it was in development hell for an unreasonable amount of time.
I remember that live going through it because I would like follow the news about that a lot because I was really attached to Tom Hardy. I loved his work in like Inception and Bronson and like a bunch of other stuff. And so I know that took a long time.
Yeah. It's a really good movie, and it's one of the interesting intricacies. It's an example of the interesting intricacies when producing a film here in Australia, which I find fascinating. Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
We'll have to have you on another time.
We love that.
We love that. Yeah. We used to have our own podcast once upon a time. But yeah, we might revive it. We love showing up on other people's podcasts too.
Thank you for listening to Content and Capable. You can follow the podcast socials at Content, the letter N, Capable on Instagram and Twitter. You can send a super boring email to us through contentandcapablepod@gmail.com. The art was done by Opia. You can follow them on Opia_art on Instagram. Opia is spelled OPIA. Feel free to message them about making art for your project. Our music was written, recorded, and edited by Nora Strauss-Riggs. You can find Nora at Kane_I, that's I as in the body part, on Instagram and Twitter. Feel free to message her about making music for your project or editing your podcast. I'm proud to be a part of the Movie Night Crew Network, which features the Restricted section, a chapter-by-chapter Harry Potter pod with lots of spoilers all the time. The Movie Night Crew joins some friends as they react to some terrible, some meh, and some really great movies. Fandom's Gone Wrong, a show that discusses all things fandoms. Of the Eldest Gods, a chapter-by-chapter Rick Riordan pod full of myths and legends. And My Cabbages, an Avatar podcast that follows the true hero of Avatar The Last Airbender, the Cabbage Cart Guy.
Coffee, tea, honor, cabbage. Long ago, the 4 elements lived in harmony. Then, shit went totally cray when the Avatar attacked. Only the Cabbage Man, merchant of fine cruciferous vegetables, could stand against his trolling. But when the world needed some dank veg, he vanished. 10 years have passed, and my partner and I have started a new podcast.
My Cabbages! An Avatar podcast.
A weekly show about Avatar The Last Airbender. Whether it's Sokka's new line of cologne...
Hey, look at you, sitting there on a seal. Well, now look back at me. I'm on an even bigger seal. Now look away.
D&D related antics.
You have to make an acrobatics check for that, and Aang just like unzips his pants and whips out his D20s. He's just like, I got this.
Or randomly breaking into song.
Bending waterfall.
We'll stumble our way through the greatest show ever made, one episode at a time.
You can reach us at CabbageCast, which is our Twitter, or
subscribe wherever you catch pod.
Rotten cabbage.
garages? What kind of slum do you think this is?
Content and Capable is a podcast all about answering the question, how do you adult? Don't forget to rate and review it on your favourite podcatcher, and I will see you next Monday for another episode.
That movie sucked. I kind of liked it.
Movie Night Crew Network.
Record, and let me get back to Zoom. Oh no,
Yeah, you said to.
this one. Where'd it go? Where'd the window go?
I think you closed out the
Did I
meeting.
close the window?
You did.
Oh no.
Yeah, you did. One job and you failed.
I'm sorry, Sam. I don't know how that happened.
You have to join the audio.
Oh,
You're back.
I'm back. I
One
don't know
job.
how that happened.
One job and you failed.